God has not forgotten you, even in the silence. He has written your name upon his heart, counted every tear you've cried, and is still gently writing a story for your life that is greater than anything you've lost. You may not feel it right now. You may be sitting in a room filled with shadows, wondering if heaven has gone quiet on you. But I need you to hear this not with your mind, but with the aching center of your soul. You are not forgotten. The silence isn't abandonment. The stillness isn't punishment. What you feel as emptiness is the holy pause before divine movement. It's the breath God takes before he speaks something sacred over your life again. There are pages in your story that have felt torn, smudged with pain, chapters you never asked for but had to survive. But even as you wept through the midnight seasons, heaven was not distant. He was counting every tear, and not one of them was wasted. Not one drop of your sorrow slipped past his sight. You didn't cry alone. Angels stood beside you when you fell apart. And God? He leaned closer, not further, closer. You see, the human world may forget names, ignore hearts, overlook pain. But the eternal realm doesn't operate like the earth does. In heaven, the moment you were created, your name was written in light, etched into the fabric of divine memory. Your breath is a note in the eternal symphony of God's design. And even in your confusion, even in the ache of what was taken from you, what slipped through your fingers, he has never stopped writing. Your story. There's a beauty in divine silence that the world rarely teaches you to understand. Because we're taught to fear quiet. We're taught to panic when answers don't come fast, when healing doesn't arrive in the way we imagined. But God is not in a hurry. His timing is holy. His stillness is intentional. While you wonder where he went, he's often drawing closest to you, speaking not in thunder, but in whisper. It's not in fire, but in still, soft presence. And maybe, just maybe, this silence is sacred. Maybe this pause is protection. Maybe what felt like delay is actually divine alignment. Because, child of light, you have no idea what he's saving you from. You can't see what he sees. He's crafting something behind the curtain of time that your present pain can't comprehend yet. And yes, you've lost things. Precious things. People, dreams, parts of yourself you thought you'd never recover. I know, he knows. But what you lost is not greater than what God is preparing. What left your life is not more powerful than what he's about to place in your hands. And if you could only see even one sentence of the next chapter he's writing, your knees would fall to the ground in awe. It's not because your story is easy, but because it's holy. And the most sacred stories are born in silence, shaped in shadows, and revealed in divine time. The enemy wants you to believe that you are unseen, that heaven has gone blind to your suffering, that because nothing seems to be moving, nothing ever will. But the enemy is a liar, and God is a promise keeper. Even when you can't trace his hand, you can trust his heart. His heart is fiercely in love with yours. That's why he held on to you when you were falling. That's why you're still breathing when you thought the pain would break you, because he's not done yet. Do not mistake hiddenness for abandonment. Do not confuse silence for absence. You are not in the background. You are in preparation. You are not being punished or being positioned. And while the world looks for flashy victories and loud signs, God works in the roots, in the soil, in the unseen realm where real transformation begins. Your name, yes, your name is written upon his heart. That means your existence is not random. Your story is not meaningless. Your battles are not in vain. The heartbreak you endured, the nights you couldn't sleep, the prayers you whispered through trembling lips, they've all been gathered in the hands of a Father who sees beyond what you've lost and into the glory of what's coming. So breathe. Not because it's all okay yet, but because he's still here. And he hasn't taken his eyes off you for a single moment. Asterisk, he hasn't taken his eyes off you for a single moment. Even when you turned away in anger. Even when you stopped praying. Because the silence hurt too much. Even when your faith trembled under the weight of disappointment, he stayed. He sat with you in the ache. He never recoiled from your questions, your doubts, your weariness. Because the God who created your heart is not intimidated by its breaking. He's the God who binds it back together. You've been taught to hide your pain, to only show up when you're strong. But child, he wants you raw. He wants you real. He wants the version of you who has no answers, who's tired of pretending, who's unsure of the next step, because that version, that's the one he can pour his glory into. He doesn't need your perfection, he needs your permission. The permission to step into the mess and transform it from the inside out. This is not about earning his love. It never has been. This is about remembering that you were loved before you ever did a single thing right. Before you prayed your first prayer, before you learned to speak his name, before you had the words to ask for mercy, he had already chosen you. You don't have to strive for a place in his heart. You were born from it, and now, as the world shifts around you, as things you depended on begin to fall away, something sacred is rising within. A deeper knowing, a quiet fire, a whisper that says, you're still here for a reason. That's not just your imagination. That's the Spirit awakening something ancient inside you, something unshakable, something heaven planted before. Your first breath, this moment, this in-between space of uncertainty, it's not the end of your story. It's a womb, a holy place of becoming, of stretching, of spiritual refinement. And while it may not look like growth to the outside world, heaven knows what's being birthed. God sees the hidden strength forming in you, the courage that didn't exist before the heartbreak, the discernment that only pain could teach. Faith that refuses to give up, even when it doesn't understand. Yes, you've been through fire, but you are not ashes, you are gold, refined, strengthened, made whole in ways no one can see yet. And I promise you, he is not done. Your future is not a repetition of your past. Your next chapter will not carry the same sorrow. Why? Because something inside you has shifted. You've seen too much, felt too deeply, fallen too hard not to rise, transformed. And when you do rise in, it won't be with the same voice. It'll be deeper, wiser, soaked in the oil of divine presence. You'll speak not from theory, but from testimony. You'll carry healing because you've walked through hell. You'll offer hope because you've touched hopelessness and lived to see light again. That is what heaven is, shaping in you now. Vesawal, a light bearer, a soul who knows the dark but still believes in dawn. And maybe that's the very reason for the silence, so you could learn the sound of his voice again, not through noise, not through chaos, through presence, through stillness. The steady thrum of your heart that continues to beat even when you feel like breaking, that's him. That's grace. That's resurrection energy pulsing through your veins, reminding you that death is not the end and despair is not your home. Don't rush out of this season. Don't curse the silence. Don't try to numb the discomfort. There's glory here. There's revelation hiding in the quiet. The voice of God doesn't always thunder sometimes. It hums through the silence like a melody only your spirit can hear. Stay open. Stay soft. Stay willing to believe that even now, even in this still, trembling space, he is still writing. The author of your soul has not put down his pen. The ink hasn't run dry. The story is still unfolding. And beloved, it's not over. Not even close. Asterisk, the story is still unfolding. And beloved, it's not over. Not even close. What's ahead of you is not just restoration, it's resurrection. A holy return not only to who you once were, but to someone even more radiant. Someone reborn through fire, rebuilt in faith, reawakened by the very love that never let go of you, even in the silence. You don't have to know how it's all going. To work out, that's not your burden to carry. Your role is not to orchestrate the miracle. Your role is to make room for it. To stay open when everything in you wants to shut down. To say yes to God when fear screams no. To keep your heart soft in a world that keeps trying to harden you. And even when your hope flickers, even when all you can manage is a whisper of trust, it is enough. He is not measuring you by your strength. He is meeting you in your surrender. It is not your might that moves mountains. It is your belief that he can. So don't shame yourself for the moments you felt weak. Weakness is not failure. Weakness is the place where the divine steps in and says, let me carry you now. God has never needed your perfection. He's never waited for you to be flawless before he used you. In fact, the cracks in your story are where his glory shines brightest. The places where you bled, where you broke, where you cried out in desperation, those are the holy grounds where heaven touches earth. And though you may not realize it yet, others will find healing in the exact places where you once needed healing yourself. This is not the death of your purpose. It is the deepening of it. The silent seasons are where the roots grow, where God shapes the parts of you that can't be built in noise or applause or outward success, because what He is doing in you is sacred. Sacred things are often hidden, protected until the appointed time. Don't measure your life by what's visible right now. You don't plant a seed and expect to see the fruit the next morning. Some growth is invisible, but just as real, and that's where you are now in divine incubation, in sacred shaping, in holy preparation, not because you've failed, but because you've been called. And what's coming requires a version of you that's been with God in the secret place. People around you may not understand. That's okay. They don't need to. This is between you and the one who formed you from dust and breath and love, the one who has carved your name into His very being. You don't need external validation for an internal anointing. You don't need applause to know you're in alignment. You'll know it by the peace that rises inside you even when circumstances haven't changed. He is writing something new, and you are not meant to copy old patterns. You are not meant to shrink back into the spaces that once held you small. You are not meant to settle for survival when you were made for sacred significance. There's a divine appointment ahead that requires your full presence, and God is using this quiet space to call you into remembrance of who you are and whose you are. You've been wondering why things had to fall apart, why certain doors slammed shut, why people walked away. But beloved, sometimes God allows a clearing so that the real blessing can have space to land. Sometimes the delay is not denial, it's divine timing. It's making sure what's meant for you won't arrive until your hands are free enough to receive it. Until your heart is healed enough to hold it. Yes, there is grief in the letting go. Yes, there is ache in the waiting. But don't miss the holy in it. Don't rush past the tenderness of this moment. This is where intimacy with God grows, not in the outcomes, but in the in-between, in the not yet. In the nights you cry and still whisper, I trust you. That is worship. That is faith. That is what heaven sees and celebrates. You are not falling behind. You are not forgotten. You are being led by a hand far more loving, far more intentional than anything this world can offer. And while your story is still being written, know this: it is being written in love, with mercy, with power, and with a promise that nothing you've lost will ever compare to what's being prepared. Asterisk. Nothing you've lost will ever compare to what's being prepared. And even now, even in the stillness, the hand of God is moving, quietly, lovingly, faithfully. He's not pacing the heavens, unsure of what to do with you. He's not second-guessing your future. He's already seen the ending, and beloved is radiant. There is a chapter coming that will bring healing to everything you thought would never mend. Not just a patch, not just survival, but divine restoration. The kind that rewrites the meaning of what you've walked through. The kind that makes you look back one day and say, I didn't understand it then, but now I see He was carrying me the entire way. God is not just trying to get you through this. He's transforming you through this. He's making you new, not in the shallow sense of behavior or appearances, but at the level of your very soul. And this is a heart-deep, spirit-wide, eternity-rooted kind of transformation. The kind that can't be undone by what others say or what circumstances shift. Because what God births in silence cannot be stolen in noise. That's why He's kept you hidden for a while. Not because you're forgotten, but because you are precious. There are parts of your destiny that must be protected in the womb of silence. There are callings too sacred to be exposed before their appointed time. And so you felt invisible, overlooked, misunderstood. But you are none of those things to heaven. In heaven, you are known, fully, deeply, eternally, and right now. Even as you breathe and wonder if He hears you, I tell you with certainty He does. He's closer than the breath in your lungs. He's not a distant ruler sitting on a throne of judgment. He is the one who sits beside you in your darkest night, holding your tears like treasure, whispering your name into eternity. The Father who never forgets his child. The shepherd who leaves the 99 to come find you. You don't have to find your way back to him. You don't have to strive your way into his arms. You're already in them. Even if your mind can't feel it, your spirit remembers. Somewhere deep inside you, beneath the pain and the questions you know. You remember what it feels like to be held. You remember the sound of his voice in the garden before life got loud. That memory is not fiction. It's a seed of truth planted in your being by the one who made you. And he is calling you now, gently, powerfully, whispering, "Come closer. Lay down the weight. Let me remind you who you are, because this world will try to define you by your failures, your past, your trauma. But heaven defines you by your origin, beloved, chosen, handcrafted in divine image. That, no mistake, it's no loss, no silence. There's something sacred rising in your spirit, even if you can't name it yet. A holy restlessness, a stirring. That's not confusion, it's awakening. It's the Spirit of God inside you saying there is more, not more to chase, not more to prove, but more to remember, more to become. More of God to encounter, not just through doctrine or duty, but through direct, intimate relationship. And if you feel like the world around you doesn't reflect that, yet don't lose heart. God is not bound by what's visible. He moves in realms you cannot see. And often, the breakthrough happens in silence first. The roots split the ground long before the flower blooms. So if you feel the tension, the pressure, the pull-its, because something new is breaking through, you are being expanded for what's coming. You were not born to shrink. You were not called to live in hiding forever. This silence will not last. But the you that emerges from it will never be the same. And that is holy. That is victory. Is what makes heaven sing over you not that you avoided pain, but that you kept saying yes to love even through it? And love real loves? What's been holding you all along? It's the love of a God who does not give up, who does not forget. Does not walk away when it gets hard. The one who stays. The one who rebuilds. The one who speaks life over dead things and resurrects what others gave up on. That same voice is speaking over you now, and it's saying, get ready. Your story is not ending in sorrow, it's unfolding in glory. Asterisk, your story is not ending. In sorrow, it's unfolding in glory. And even if your eyes can't see it yet, your spirit has already begun to feel the shift. There is a quickening happening within you, a sense that what once crushed you no longer holds the same power, that the grief that used to drown you is now becoming ground for growth. You're starting to breathe again, even if the breath is shallow. You're starting to hope again, even if the hope trembles. That is no small thing. In fact, it is everything. Because hope is holy. It's not weakness. It's warfare. Every time you dare to believe, again despite disappointment, despite heartbreak, are participating in the miracle of resurrection. The ashes of yesterday are not the end. They are the soil from which beauty rises. And beloved, beauty is rising. You see? There's a difference between restoration and resurrection. Restoration brings something back to the way it was. But resurrection brings something back stronger, deeper, transformed. You are not being restored to who you used to be. You're being resurrected into someone you've never been someone. Only your pain could prepare you to become. Heaven has been working even while you've been sleeping. God has been aligning details, opening invisible pathways, weaving together encounters and moments that will converge in divine timing. You may feel like you've been wandering in a desert, but what you didn't know is that the desert has been training your soul to hear him again. When everything else is stripped away, what's left is the voice that truly matters. And that voice has not stopped speaking your name. You haven't missed your moment. You haven't fallen too far. You haven't taken a wrong turn that can't be redirected. The grace of God is not fragile. It doesn't break under your weight. It lifts you under it. And even if you've run, even if you've doubted, even if you've turned your face away, God has kept his face toward you. He's been patient with your pain, gentle with your confusion. And now he's calling you back, not to perform, not to prove, but to receive. because what's coming is not a reward for your striving. It's a gift born of mercy. It's preparing to pour out things your heart has longed for, but was never quite sure you deserved. But he knows. He's seen the battles you fought in secret, the nights you prayed without words, the times you showed up with a shattered heart and still chose to love anyway. He saw all of it, and none of it went unnoticed. Heaven takes account of every act of faith, even the trembling ones, especially the trembling ones. And now, child of promise, the atmosphere is shifting. The winds are changing. There is a sound in the spirit, a stirring, a movement. You are standing at the edge of something new, something holy. And though it may not make sense to those around you, your soul knows. Your spirit recognizes the fragrance of the future God has prepared. You can feel it in the stillness. You can feel it in your bones. That ache inside you. That's not emptiness. It's expectancy. So lift your eyes. Lift your heart. Lift your hands, not because everything is perfect, but because your spirit is rising. Because something inside you knows the pain wasn't wasted. Because somewhere deep in your being you understand this truth. God doesn't build without purpose. He never tears down what he's not ready to rebuild in glory. You were walking into a chapter that was written before you were born. A moment heaven has been waiting to unveil. You didn't miss your timing. You were being prepared for it. All those delays, they weren't detours. They were divine alignment. And now, the door is opening, not because you forced it, but because you're finally ready to walk through it with a healed heart and a clear spirit. This is your appointed time, not a time to hustle. Not a time to strive, but a time to say yes to the sacred, to lean into the divine, to walk boldly not in your own strength, but in the strength of the one who has carried you this far. There is oil on your scars now. There is wisdom in your wounds. There is glory woven into every page of the story you once wished you could erase. And now that story is about to be used for healing, for purpose, for the kind of impact that echoes in eternity. So breathe in this truth. God has not forgotten you. He has written your name on his heart. And he is still right now, gently writing a story for your life that is greater than anything you've lost. Asterisk. So breathe in this truth. God has not forgotten you. He has written your name on his heart. And he is still right now, gently writing a story for your life that is greater than anything you've lost. And now, it is time. Time to rise from the ashes of what once was. Time to stop rehearsing the pain and start stepping into the promise. Time to realize that what you thought was the end was actually the beginning of something sacred, something heaven-breathed, something you were born for. The heaviness is lifting. The chains are loosening. The fog that once clouded your vision is breaking. There is clarity coming, not just of the mind, but of the spirit. You're going to begin to see things differently, not because the world has changed, but because you have. You've been transformed in the waiting, strengthened in the silence, fortified in the fire, and the heavens have seen it all. There has been a shift in the spirit, a divine alignment that now surrounds your life. Angels have been dispatched. Doors that no man could open are about to swing wide, not because you forced them, but because you've allowed God to shape you in the unseen places. And now he's bringing you into the visible. Your breakthrough is not an accident. It's an appointment, and with it will come divine confirmation encounters that will make your spirit weep in recognition. Not because you earned them, but because heaven never forgot. There will be moments when you feel like you've stepped into a dream, but it's not a dream. It's fulfillment. The manifestation of every seed you sowed in tears, every whisper you prayed in silence, every battle you didn't think you would survive but did. The pain wasn't for nothing. It prepared you. There are people who will be healed because you chose not to give up. There are lives that will be changed because you let your own be transformed. Your scars will become a sanctuary. Your story will become a song that others will find refuge in. This is what God does. He takes what the enemy tried to destroy and turns it into divine assignment. And here you are, still standing, still breathing, still believing. You didn't come this far to be forgotten. You didn't survive the fire just to return to dust. You were always destined for more. That longing in your heart, that ache that never went away? That's the echo of eternity calling you forward, the whisper of God saying you were made for this, and now is the moment to believe it. You are not a mistake. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You're not behind. You are right on time. Your name has never been lost in heaven's books. In fact, your life is still being written in gold. Every word, every line, shaped by mercy, soaked in love, drenched in divine hope. And this next chapter, it carries glory. It carries power. It carries the fragrance of heaven. So walk forward. With trembling hands, if you must. With a soft heart and open palms. Not because you know exactly what's coming, but because you know who goes with you. And he is faithful. He who formed you, who called you, who kept you, who whispered over you. In the night, you are walking in his light now, and the shadows of yesterday can no longer define you. The silence has served its purpose. The waiting has birthed something eternal. And now the story is shifting. Heaven is rejoicing because you said yes. Yes to healing. Yes to believing again. Yes to standing when you could have stayed down. Yes to hope. Yes to light. Yes to love, and now watch what heaven does next, because God has not forgotten you, even in the silence. He has written your name upon his heart, counted every tear you've cried, and is still gently writing a story for your life that is greater than anything you've lost. And finally, child of light, it's time to live that story.